Further statements by ministers. Minister of Citizenship and Immigration.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in recognition of Islamic Heritage Month, which is celebrated across Canada in October. This is Ontario's inaugural celebration of Islamic Heritage Month. Bill 38, an act to proclaim the month of October Islamic Heritage Month in Ontario, was introduced last year and received unanimous support by all members of the legislature. I'd like to thank the member for London Fanshawe for her early work on the legislation, as well as the members from Scarborough Rouge River and the member from Etobicoke North, my parliamentary assistant, for co-sponsoring the bill. And finally, I'd like to thank all members of this House for their commitment to its passage. Islamic history and culture encompasses a broad range of individual and collective experiences. Islamic Heritage Month is an opportunity to reflect upon, to learn about, and to celebrate the rich and long-standing history of Islam in our province. It is also a time to reaffirm the important contributions that Muslims have made and continue to make as a key part of the economic, social, cultural, and religious fabric of Ontario. Mr. Speaker, the Muslim Canadian community has added much richness to Ontario, both culturally and economically, with many luminaries in literature, math, science, arts, culture, medicine, and humanitarian initiatives, who have been recognized through various honours, including the Order of Ontario, the province's highest honour. Mr. Speaker, Ontario is home to more than 600,000 Muslims. Some are recent immigrants originating from various countries around the world, attracted to Ontario and its international reputation as a beacon of safety, tolerance, and acceptance. Others have deep roots in Ontario. They were born here and can look back on generations of family history and contributions in such wide-ranging areas such as literature and the arts, in science, business, and education, and in so many other fields. Our great province, first inhabited by Indigenous people, is home to millions of people with similarly diverse backgrounds and interests. People who have come here from over 200 different countries, speak more than 250 languages and dialects, all with their own cultures, traditions, and faiths. As Ontarians, we treasure this diversity. We also know that this tapestry of humanity can be fragile when tested. That is why this House moved quickly and unanimously to condemn several instances of Islamophobia that occurred this past winter. The motion that was introduced by my colleague, the member for Ottawa-Vanier, who is here in the House today, was passed unanimously. It was a proud moment for this House. I want to remind whoever is watching at home and my colleagues what that motion said. It read as follows: I move that in the opinion of this House, the Legislative Assembly of Ontario should reaffirm that diversity has always played an important part in Ontario's culture and heritage. Recognize the significant contribution Muslims have made and continue to make to Ontario's cultural and social fabric and prosperity. Stand against all forms of hatred, hostility, prejudice, racism, and intolerance. Rebuke the notable growing tide of anti-Muslim rhetoric and sentiments. Denounce the hate attacks, threats of violence, and hate crimes against people of Muslim faith. Condemn all forms of Islamophobia and reaffirm its support for government's efforts through the Anti-Racism Directorate to address and prevent systemic racism across government policy, programs, and services, and increase anti-racism education and awareness, including Islamophobia, in all parts of the province. Speaker, our government is committed to a society where everyone can live free of the fear of racism, hate speech, and violence. Islamophobia is real, and its impacts are devastating, and that's not acceptable, Mr. Speaker. Whenever we see or hear of a crime of this nature, it must be quickly, visibly, and vocally condemned, and we've taken important steps to support this conviction. There is no room for hate in our province. Through Ontario's Anti-Racism Directorate, our government has released a 3-year provincial strategy designed specifically to combat systemic racism called A Better Way Forward. Our ministry also partnered with the Ontario Council of Agencies Serving Immigrants to develop an awareness campaign that targets Islamophobia, encouraging people to stand up in their neighbourhoods and their schools against hate and discrimination. And our ministry's Newcomer Settlement Program supports dozens of agencies which promote integration of newcomers, multiculturalism, and understanding. Late last month, the Toronto District School Board held an event at the Aga Khan Museum to launch Islamic Heritage Month, which my colleagues, the Minister of Education, Minister of Children and Youth Services, and member for Ottawa, Vanier, attended. This event showcased TDSP student talent, other artists and entertainers, and featured a poster that will be displayed in 580 TDSP schools, profiling prominent Muslims from across Canada. It was a great event highlighting the important contributions of Canadian Muslims to Canadian society, the cultural diversity of the Canadian Muslim community, their commitment to Canada, and the importance of Canadians learning about each other to foster greater social cohesion. As we look to the future, Mr. Speaker, it's essential that we search for creative ways to promote diversity, inclusion, and social cohesion. That's why this year's budget allocated $6 million over 2 years to create a multicultural community capacity grant program. Through this program, we will help build a diverse and inclusive society by helping newcomers and ethnocultural communities participate fully in the civic, cultural, social, and economic life in Ontario. For our government, supporting newcomers and ethnocultural communities and helping to build a diverse and inclusive society is the right thing to do. Everyone benefits from a diverse and inclusive society: individuals, employers, institutions, and the community at large. Ontario is strong and united, and that is key to individual quality of life and success in the global economy. During Islamic Heritage Month and beyond, we urge everyone to join together in celebrating Islamic history and heritage and the many contributions of the Muslim community to Ontario, a place where all cultures and religions must be respected. Thank you.
Thank you.